all, congratulations to 20 years of Hertie School. The success of the Hertie School speaks for itself, I'd say, and it's good to have you here in Berlin-Mitte. That we do have political scientists, political actors. It's always very fruitful for us to have an exchange of views, to have the discussions, to have some input. And so I hope for, 20, 50, 100 years more, and perhaps we all can come together again if you already have attended 10 years ago in 20 years' time, and it's even more a success story. I want to make some comments, but first of all, you know what I would expect from political scientists seeing the results of the European election yesterday, for example. This is one question, the most important question, but the question I don't see very often asked, especially in media coverage, is why? Everyone's moralizing, everyone's judging, everyone has an opinion, but the first question is, why is it people vote that way? Why is it they might have lost trust? Whatever, but the most important question is why? And I don't see political scientists, I don't expect them to be political activists actually. I want them to ask the questions and to give us some scientific database then to take decisions or have a good debate. To the why question, just 1 to 3 thoughts perhaps. One is, some thesis, I would say. My first thesis is the major driving force for what we've seen in the European election now, what we've seen in the last 10, 20 years, especially in Europe, not only, but especially, the driving force is the issue of migration, and too often failed integration. If you take the implosion of the French political party system, I live close to the Dutch border, the Dutch political party system, Belgium, Denmark, Sweden, Italy, Austria, we can just go through it. The main
At the top of the political agenda in Germany, 1 million refugees have come to Germany as a result of Russia's war in Ukraine. Local authorities are under strain as they struggle to provide accommodation, healthcare, schools and daycare centres. Opposition parties are sounding the alarm. That many Germans share the concern is evident from the latest Infratest DMAP opinion poll. A further
is the exception in Europe. Meanwhile, sometimes we have the impression that will be the normal status. Now it's the exception. And the rest of Western Europe, perhaps the whole of Europe, the political party system, the political system in general, has changed a lot. I mean, Christian Democrats have just faded away. So the Democrats in so many countries just around us. And the main issue, the main reason is the not solved question of irregular migration, that there is no control. 1,000 people every day last year that just entered Germany. No one knew who, no one knew why. No one knew where from, and you might like it or not, we might like it or not, people have some questions about it. By the way, I do have them too. If it is always last night again, we have to better explain. Perhaps people just don't want it that way, and that needs to be discussed. And the question of too often failed integration, I mean, it's one was the end of history, the other one was the clash of civilizations. Of course, we have to have that debate. If it's not from one cultural background, that we do have this failed integration in a broad way compared to others. And that's the Arabic Islamic background. And we need to have that discussion in a proper way and very much do it. First thing is. Second piece is connected to this one is 50% of Germans, I don't know how it is in other countries, 50% of Germans say in several polls for several years meanwhile, they have the feeling that they can't say what they think, even when they are with their family and friends. In a proper way, just frankly what they think. And of course you could say it's a free country, everyone can say what they want, but if 50% have the feeling they can't, because they are afraid of the reaction, then that is not a good finding, not a good fact for a plural society, is it? And actually, these 20s are very challenging, very exhausting, obviously. This is a very, very exhausting decade, with all the issues that need to be debated. And at the same time, in society, from small family gatherings to the big political debates in the Bundestag, there is the feeling we do not have proper debates. The things are not put on the table, all points of views can be said, and very often, as soon as you start to have a debate from a certain point, you get more relaxed. There's whatever enemy, to put it very to the point, I dare to. For some, you are even a right-wing extremist if you just say there are two biological sexes. And that's the end of debate then. But you should debate things in a way that sees the differences, okay, but it should be possible to have some debates without getting that reaction. Oh, I think, how often have I been called a racist in the last 10 years? Can't count it anymore, because people try to stop debates on migration and integration. And I think we do need to have these debates. Which brings me to the third thesis on the why. The two most polarized issues are the issue of migration and climate change. Very interesting, there was a study that said, if you are not, if you have a different opinion than I have, I do dislike you. This reaction is very extremely correlated in two issues, migration and climate change. And it actually shows that there are two issues that are very much need a proper debate, but they don't have one. And that brings me to what to do. First thing, connected to this, is broaden the debate. We need to we need to have more controversial, proper debates. I mean, you can stand on the street and cry and scream or whatever, that's not a debate. But a proper debate means that you, at least for a second, assume the other one might be right. Just a second. That makes every debate a better debate. And in this world of social media, with WhatsApp and Facebook and whatever, if you don't want to hear a different opinion, you don't have to. But that's not good, obviously, for that kind of debate we need in times that are very challenging. The more problems you have, actually you should have more debates. And my dialectic thesis is, the more there are controversial debates again, proper controversial debates again in the democratic center, the less polarization is there. Because then you have this feeling things are not discussed properly, not there anymore, and less polarization. That's my thesis of this. Second, if I could paint it, I would say we should somehow manage the democratic center to solve, if you want to name it that way, the identity issues, especially the migration and integration issues. We should try. We tried. I don't see it right now, but if you take it in theory, we should try to solve those on a very broad consensus and go back to the classical political controversial field of socio-economic questions. As long as we are in this field of identity politics and society issues, I think it's very hard to get society come back together again. But for that you need the readiness, the will of all parties of the democratic center to really solve it. It's not about finding a compromise or press conferences, or really solve it and then have more controversial debates on socio-economic issues. I would say that could be one way, at least, to regain some trust. And the third one is, if it is about democracy, I find more important, and we already mentioned that, the question of republic, being a republic. Democracy is important, no doubt, but Hamas was elected democratically. Rule of law, respect for institutions is very, very important as well. And if I have learned something from Wolfgang Schäuble, then how important the respect for institutions is for a democracy and for a society, liberal society as ours. And for that I have to finish with a question, a big question for the next 10 years, is that I'm very much convinced of this rule of law and respect for institutions approach. But then I wonder if not somehow the development of the last 20, 30 years, that more and more questions have been taken out of the realm of political decisions to the issues of legal framework. For example, migration. For example, currency policies. For example, the war. We might laugh, but I can tell you back home, the first mortars have arrived in the Bundestag. If I tell people we can't do anything because there's a European legal framework, that's not helping. Because they are, if elected you as a sovereign in the German Bundestag, and you can't take not even a decision if you are allowed to shoot a war or not. And somehow, I can't solve this, but I think about it, or I've been thinking about it for months now, how we can find a better balance again because migration. How often do we all say European law, International Refugee Convention? If we keep on telling people we can't do anything because that's the system, then they start to doubt the system. And so to find the right balance between what is the legal, especially the international legal framework, and then what should be a decision of the sovereign and elected political bodies, I think we need to rebalance that, and that's some food for thought.